Welcome back to the channel where truth is spoken, healing is honored, and growth is the mission. Welcome to Family Focused, the Healing the Roots movement. In one of my previous videos, we talked about the stages from survival mode to thriving. But today, we're going a bit deeper because the real question is, why do so many people stay stuck in survival mode for years? Even when they're working hard, even when they're trying, even when they want more. Reason number one, survival mode became your identity. What that means is survival mode is like a computer has an operating system for when you're browsing the web, you choose your default browser. So every time you go on the internet, it's either going to be Google, Chrome, Internet Explorer, or any one of those. So every time you use your computer, you can only get what information your default browser provides you with. You can't get anything different. Same thing can be said for when survival mode becomes your identity. You make survival mode becomes your baseline. And every decision you make, every thought you think comes from a place of survival mode, which means you're in a constant state of urgency and hypervigilance. At first, survival mode is a season, but over time, it becomes a self-concept. You start to believe, I'm always struggling, nothing ever works out for me, life is just hard. If you were to stop and take a moment and think back, I'm sure you would see yourself repeating one of these phrases or something similar in the same vein. And here's the dangerous part. Your identity will always try to stay consistent with itself. You can't outperform your baseline. You cannot. So even when opportunities come, you may unconsciously reject them because they don't match who you believe you are. Let that sink in. Real life looks like you get a chance and you overthink it. You start something and you stop halfway. You self-sabotage, then call it bad luck. Not because you want to fail, but because your identity has not caught up with your potential. Reason number two, you are addicted to urgency. Survival mode trains your nervous system to function in high alert. I went through this phase. I couldn't do anything if there wasn't a severe level of urgency attached to it. Like my back had to be against the wall for me to get up and act or take action. Unless you get used to last minute decisions, crisis solving, constant pressure that became who you are. And over time, peace starts to feel unfamiliar. It was never familiar. For a lot of people, peace was never familiar, even uncomfortable. So when life slows down, you create problems just to feel normal again. That sounds very similar to people who have addictions, always going after the next high. So it's a similar psychological or physiological truth. Some people don't have a problem with struggle. They have a problem with stillness. Reason number three, lack of structure. Everything depends on you. You are holding everything together. If you remove yourself from the equation, whether it's your personal life or if you are a business operator, if you remove yourself from the equation, everything falls to the ground, falls flat. It's like you're constantly juggling. In survival mode, everything is manual. No systems, no processes, no delegation. Just you holding everything together. So what happens? If you get tired, everything slows down. If you get overwhelmed, everything stops. That's not a business. That's a pressure system. And this is where many people are, working hard every single day, but their life has no structure, no support to support them. So they stay busy, but never stable. And stability is equal to abundance. And this is something our slave masters were very aware of. Reason number four, financial instability keeps resetting you. Let's talk about this honestly. You cannot think long term. when your life is constantly being reset financially. Unexpected expenses, inconsistent income, no buffer. Every time you try to move forward, something pulls you back. So instead of building, you keep rebuilding. Here's an interesting fact. Research shows that financial instability creates the same stress response in the brain as physical danger, which means your body's not reacting like you're trying to grow. It's reacting like you're trying to survive a threat. And reason number 5, you're solving symptoms, not systems. Most people in survival mode are highly capable, but their focus is on fixing problems, responding to issues, handling what's in front of them, instead of asking, why does this keep happening? So they become experts at managing chaos, but never eliminate it. Example, you fix a bill issue, but you don't build a financial system. You solve a client problem, but you don't fix your process. You handle stress, but don't change your environment. So the cycle continues. And they say, there's a popular saying, if you can't change the people, then you change the people. I guess the same can be said for your environment. If you can't change the environment, then you change the environment. Reason number 6, environment and influence. You cannot build a stable life in an unstable environment. And I'm not just talking about physical. I'm talking people around you, the conversations you're having, the standards you're exposed to. If everyone around you is surviving, then survival feels normal. And anything beyond that feels unrealistic. And here's a hard truth. Your environment will either expand your capacity or reinforce your limitation. There is no neutral. Or you're dying. That's it. There's no in between. Reason number 7. You've never been shown another way, which means you've never seen anything outside of survival. You don't know anything else. This one is very deep. Some people are not stuck because they're incapable. They're stuck because they've never seen stability modeled. If you grew up in chaos, then survival is what you learned. And you cannot operate from a system you were never taught, or more importantly, or even more basic, you were never exposed to. So what happens? You repeat patterns, not because you want to, but because it's familiar. And again, I keep saying and I'll keep repeating, your brain is not wired for success. It is wired for familiarity and safety. And safety for the brain is usually the same thing as familiarity. If it feels familiar, that means it's safe. But it's not always true. If you're listening to this and thinking that this is me, then I need you to understand something clearly. You are not failing. You are operating exactly how survival mode trained you to operate. But here's the shift that can take place. You don't break out of survival mode by working harder. You break out of survival mode by building differently. And this is something that when I understood it, it started to open my mind in just amazing ways. If you can understand this, you're onto something. You're on a path to somewhere. And finally, survival mode is not a life sentence, although it can feel that way. Because most times what happens with us, for persons who are trapped in survival mode, is that you're in this state, you're not getting the results that you desire or that you know that you can get. And deep down inside of you, there's a candle that refuses to go out, that keeps nudging at you and basically saying to you that you deserve more, you were created for more, you were built for greatness. And that is torture. So for those of us who are trapped in survival mode, you can relate when you know deep down that you are built for more, but you just don't know how to make the transition or to shift from your current state to your true purpose. So survival mode is not a life sentence, but it does require awareness to exit, because what got you through will not get you forward. If this message hit home, it's not because you're broken, it's because you are waking up. And healing begins where awareness starts. If this helped you, share and subscribe. And let's keep healing one truth at a time. Healing the nation, one child at a time. And before I go, I'd like to say hi to my now 430 subscribers. And thank you to those of you who continue to engage with my content. See you on the next video.